Hi guys, please like, share and subscribe. And if you want full course for any actuarial subject, visit theactuarialguy.com or WhatsApp on this number. Thank you.
Hello and welcome, guys. In this series, we are looking at mathematical typing for actuarial exams. So, currently, the IFoA exams are mathematical typing based, that is, they are supposed to be typed out on Microsoft Word, and IA exams are also potentially moving towards mathematical typing. There has been an announcement from IAI that uh, MCQ exams would just be a part of the exam, and they may move to mathematical typing for a portion of the exam. So for II, we don't know conclusively in August 2025, but there is a good possibility that they would at least partially move to MS Word based exams, right? In this video, I broadly want to go over how do you type exams in Microsoft Word, what are the sort of best practices. uh, we'll be walking over each and every functionality and keyboard shortcut that would be relevant to you. So let's dive right into it. Now, firstly, what are the various options available to you for typing out these exams in Microsoft Word? So you have three options as to how to go about it. One is that you can use IFoA's exam handbook notation. Okay, uh, that is basically the prescribed notation by IFoA can be used as it is, right, without any need to learn any extra shortcut or formula, right? So the advantage of this is that it matches the IFoA examiner's report exactly. IFoA gives out its examiner's report now in a mathematically typed format, so that you can also understand how each and every question can be typed out. So if you type in this way, your solutions uh, would almost identically match their way of typing out. Also, if you are confused about how to type out something, you can always refer to their examiner's report, right? Second, this is the faster way to do it without any practice. You don't need to get used to any sort of equation editor shortcuts and all of that, and thus this is pretty efficient, right? And finally, one of the advantages of this, and I will show this in a further video, that you can use Excel, Microsoft Excel, directly in order to solve these equations. So you can just copy paste that equation into Microsoft Excel, and that will directly give you the answer. So these are the advantages of going the IFoA exam handbook route. Of course, in this video, we will be going over what is the IFoA recommended symbols and notations, right? So that's one of the further slides. The second way that you have for typing out the exams is using the equation editor. Now, what are some of the advantages of using the equation editor? First, it is more readable and neat. It is exactly how you write out answers on a piece of paper or an answer script or your notebook. The representation, the way it looks very much similar to it. So it's very readable and intuitive for you to understand. Okay, as compared with using the IFoA notation, which in the initial go might be very complicated to look at, right? You might have to interpret it and it might take some time. This looks exactly like that. Microsoft Word has this inbuilt functionality called as equation editor, which is primarily meant for math typing, right? And I will show you how this looks very, very similar to how it would on a notebook. And that is why a lot of students prefer to go the equation editor route despite of IFoA's uh, recommended notations existing, right? And then the third way you can go about typing your exams is using a combination of these two, which basically means you find your own balance. You use IFoA's notation in some places, you use the equation editor in some places where it favors you. To look at it more neatly, you can use IFoA's notation in places where you have to just paste the equation into Excel and get your answer right? So you can mix and match and find your own comfort. Here, I won't be able to advise you. As you use both of these methods, as you experiment with both of these methods, you will find your best method, right? Whatever is faster for you, more efficient, you should go that route. Okay. So these are the three possible approaches you can take in terms of typing out a exam paper. Now, first thing that I want to get into is, if this is your first exam, that is, you are taking CS1 or CM1 for the first time, and uh, you have to practice typing. How do you go about that? The first thing is, what is the approach that works the best for you, whether it is typing using IFoA's notation or equation editor. That is the thing you need to figure out, or if you want to come up with a combination of the two. Okay. The second thing that you need to do is practice, 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 right? So at least 30 to 50% of the revision notes should be solved by typing out on Microsoft Word. You should have solved about 15 to 20 questions from every topic by typing out. If you won't do it uh, while you practice, you will not be able to do it in exam, and the pace of it takes time for you to pick up, right? So initially you'll be very slow at it, right? You might end up taking 3x or 4x of the amount of time that you are supposed to take, right? But over time it will improve, right? So do it with the perfection that you will do it in the exam. Don't get stressed if initially you are not able to perform well in typing. You will pick it up, everyone does. And students who have picked up typing now and are able to type well, they prefer typing over writing out answers, because uh, in the 21st century, we are more comfortable with typing than writing. Most of us have left back writing in our schools or colleges. After that, we have not handwritten. We don't handwrite most of the things. We type out most of the things, right? So once it grows on you, it is just the more efficient way, right? So you have to give it time so that you're able to develop good efficiency in it, and it will stay with you for all of your further exams. And it's super important for CS1, CM1, CS2, and CM2, right? So practice a lot, as if you are writing the exam itself. Do it with full perfection. Don't uh, just skip steps, or do it for just one or two questions per topic. If you do that, you won't be able to develop good efficiency in it, right? And then finally, try to use Microsoft Excel as much as possible. Mostly in tabular questions, Microsoft Excel is super important. So you would see, if you're writing CM1 profit testing questions, Microsoft Excel will be super important. Loan schedule questions, Microsoft Excel, you can directly solve it there and just paste your answer, right? So for some of these topics, you can directly solve in Excel and then paste your answers. That is something that IFoA allows. So you should definitely do that. Okay. Just to increase your speed, and it also helps you reduce any sort of clerical errors. Because if you're typing out, you can make an error, but if you're just copy pasting everything, you will not make an error, right? So that is some advice on how to uh, build up uh, typing prowess in your first exam, right? Now let's just get into some of the most basic Microsoft Word shortcuts. Okay, before we get into all of the complicated stuff about typing, let's talk about some of the most basic shortcuts, and these you would mostly be familiar with, but then I am just covering them here in case some of you are not. Okay, so let me just actually show this to you on Word, so that you're able to visualize what is happening. So let's just see. So this is my list of shortcuts. Let me have it here, and let me open a new Microsoft Word document. Okay, so this is my Microsoft Word document. and this is my PowerPoint. Okay, let's see. Okay, so the first shortcut that is super helpful is to save the document. So you do a Control S to save. All of you must know this, right? So if I have to just save a document, let me just type out something. Hello, actuarial students. Okay, and if I want to save, it's Control S and it will save my document. And here you can type out whatever is the name of the document for you. IFoA prescribes a certain uh, script or a certain name in which your documents must be saved. So maybe it is CM1A April 2026, and then your ARN maybe should be here. I don't exactly remember the format, but just check. So 9358 526, something like this. Okay, so this is how you save your exam. You can check the exact format, but this is the basic premise, and then you can select whatever sort of document you want to save it as. Now MS Word gives you a lot of options, but typically you would just save as docx. That is your Microsoft Word default extension, and then you can select whatever location you want to save it in. So you can save using that. I am using Mac here, so you would see the interface to be different. If you're using a Windows computer, which is the only sort of systems that are allowed in the IAI exam, IFoA allows Mac and Windows both. IAI only allows Windows. So your interface here would be slightly different, and then you just save this document. Okay, so this is how you save. Then the next thing I want to talk about are how do you select the text uh, in a Microsoft Word document. So in order to select, what you need to do is one, if you want to select all the text that exists on a document, you can do a Control A. Okay, you do a Control A, it does a select all. Okay, so you do a Control A in order to select all. That's one thing. If you want to select just part of the text, then what you can do is you can hold your shift button down, okay, and then you can move your arrow keys to select. This I'm selecting one letter at a time. So what I'm doing is shift left 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 left. As long as I hold shift, I will be able to select as much text as I want, and right to reduce it, right, because I'm going from the left. If I was going from because I'm going from the right, if I'm going from the left, then I can just do shift right 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 arrow. So I'm using the right arrow to move rightward in this, right. If you will hold down the right arrow, it will select the whole thing. Okay, now this is if you want to select one letter at a time, right. What if you want to select one word at a time, right? So you do a Control Shift right, or one sentence, let's say. So you do a Control Shift right. Okay, instead of just a Shift right, you do a Control Shift right. So that will just select your entire line, right, or multiple words. You can do this to select the entire line. Okay, Control Shift right. And then if you have more lines here, so let's say you have welcome to the actuarial guy, all the best for your IFoA exams. Okay, so if you want to now select all of these lines, what you can do is you can do a control, you can hold a Control Shift and then press right to select one, and then if you want to select full lines, you just keep on pressing the down arrow, selects one more, selects one more, right. So if you do a Control Shift down, it just selects one line after the other, right. Once you have pressed Control Shift right, if you keep on pressing right, that will not do anything. If you want to go downward, you need to press the down arrow. Okay, so this is how you select the text. Now once you have selected the text, you can do a couple of things with it. One, you can copy it. So using copy, you need to do a Control C. Okay, the shortcut that must be appearing on your screen would be Command C, because I'm using Mac, but for Windows it is Control C. Okay, once you do a Control C, you can paste this text again using a Control V. Okay, so control C is copy, control V is paste. Now let's say you want to do more things with this. So let's say you want to move this text somewhere. Okay, instead of copying, you just want to remove it from here and put it somewhere else. So you do a cut. Okay, you do a cut, which is control X. Okay, and then now if you want to move it somewhere else, you go there and do a control V. Okay, so if I move to the next line pressing enter and I do a control V, you will see that this text has appeared here. Okay, so this is how you paste. Now so I've covered save, I've covered copy, I've covered cut, paste, select all is covered. Now let's say you want to find a particular text string in this, right? You want to look for some particular text, right? So for that you do a control F, that opens your find menu. Okay, now let's say you want to search the word actuarial. Okay, so as soon as you type out actuarial here, it will just start selecting that for you and it will just highlight wherever this word is. You can move from one selection to the next using these arrows. Okay, so you have all of your words selected. That is control F for find. Okay, now sometimes you might want to replace a particular word. Okay, uh, let's say instead of actuarial I want to put some other word, or let's say I want to put II instead of IFoA here throughout this text. So for that what you do is you use a replace functionality. Okay, that basically finds a particular word and then replaces it. So how do you do that? So for doing that you do a control H instead of control F, we do a control H. Okay, how do you do a control H? Yeah, you do a control H, you will get this menu, which is the find and replace menu. Now let's say here what I want to do is I want to replace IFoA with II. Okay, I want to find this word IFoA. Once I put it in the find menu, it's coming here twice, and now I want to replace it with IAI. Okay, so I'm replacing all the I can either replace it one by one, or I can replace all the instances of IFoA with II. Okay, so now let's say I want to replace it one by one. So then I'll keep on pressing the replace button. See, here it's showing you there are two results. So which one do you want to replace? Let's say I want to replace the first one. So I've selected the first one. I press the button replace. It will replace the first IFoA with II. If I want to replace again, I again click replace. Okay, and it has replaced the second IFoA with II, and now there is no IFoA in this document. Okay, that is one way to do this. Okay, another way to do this is by using replace all. Okay, say you don't want to replace them one by one, but replace all of them at once. Okay, so for that what do you do is you press replace all. Okay, so let me first undo this, whatever replacements I've done, and then replace all. Okay, so in order to undo, I do a control Z, that is undo. Okay, if I want to redo this again, I can do a control Y. I want to undo, I do a control Z. So it just undoes the last implemented uh, function. Okay, so here the last implemented function was replacement of IFoA with II. I did a control Z, it got to IFoA again. If I do a control Z again, it will replace the previous II with IFoA again. So it has reversed whatever changes I had made. Okay, so this is how you undo. Now if I want to replace all the IFoAs with II, you can just press replace all. So it replaces all of the IFoA with II. So this is your find and replace functionality and your undo and redo functionalities. Okay, that's what I've told you about. Yeah. Now let's move on. So this is done. Now if I want to make some text bold, okay, so then what I do is I select that text and I do a control B. Okay, let's say I want to make bold the first hello actuarial students. So I'll do a control B. Okay, this became bold. Okay, now let's say I want to make bold IA exams. So I do a control B. Okay, this is how you make anything bold. Next is how do you italicize a certain text? That is how do you make it italic? So that is control I. So let's say I want to make italic actuarial student. So I'll first select it, command shift right, or in your case, control shift right. Okay, and then I will just do a control I. This makes it italic. You would notice that the text has bent a bit. That is italicized text. Okay, let's say you want to underline some text, so you will do a control shift right again. You selected this whole line, and then you just do a control U. This underlines the text. Okay, so this is how you underline. So these are all the sort of functionalities that you can use uh, in order to just work with Microsoft Excel. Okay, if you want to select one full line, there is also another way, which is shift and down. Shift and down alone without the control. Shift and down also selects your entire line. Okay, these shortcuts are very common across almost all programs. Okay, so this is how it works. This is your basics of some of the word shortcuts. Okay, let's move on. Okay, now let's talk about the first approach for typing out Microsoft Word exams, which is using the IFoA exam handbook notations. Okay, so let's just open this document and see what is the recommendation from IFoA on how to type out exams. Okay, let's see this. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Is this complete? Okay, yeah, it starts here. Okay, let's start with the most basic sort of notations or symbols, and then we'll move on to more complicated ones. Okay, the first one is multiplication. So for multiplication, it's very simple. You use the asterisk symbol, which is shift plus 8. Okay, if you go to Microsoft Word and type shift plus 8, you will get the star or the asterisk symbol. Okay, next is division. Division is your forward slash. Okay, not the backward slash but the forward slash, which basically means that it should lean forward. Okay, this is your shift plus question mark key. This key is to the on the right hand side of your keyboard, and it's to the left of the right shift. Okay, so that's how you can find it. It's just to the left of your right shift. Okay, so let me again show you. This is shift and oh, pressing it with shift actually yields a question mark. You press it without shift, so you just press that key. Okay, this key is what leads to this forward slash. Okay, so this is your division sign. Okay, so multiplication is this, division is this. Okay, then next you have your approximately equal to. See, equal to is straightforward enough, it's a direct symbol on the keyboard. Approximately equal to is this equal to along with this tilde symbol. Okay, tilde is located right below your escape key. Okay, so you press shift and that key, you will get tilde. Okay, so it is shift and the tilde key will give you tilde. Okay, let's move on. Next you have your greater than equal to or less than equal to. So for that you type out greater than equal to and less than equal to as it is. Okay, so first you type less than and then you type equal to, or first you type greater than and then you type equal to. That's also very obvious. Then for proportionality, A is proportional to B, the symbol is, there's no symbol particularly, you have to type it out. You have to say a is proportional to b. Okay, that is how you write a is proportional to b. For square root you write sqrt. Okay, so let's say I want to write square root of 2. I can just type it out as sqrt2. Okay, and ideally this should all be small. Okay, so sqrt2. This is how you do your square root. Similarly, you can do the cube root as cbrt2. Okay, so that's your cube root. Okay, so that's how you do it. Let's move on. Then you have power. Okay, a to the power of x. So this you can write as a to the power of x. To the power symbol comes from shift plus 6. Okay, so the way to do it is a shift plus 6 and then you do x. Okay, next you have an important one, that is subscript. Okay, now you have a shortcut already in Microsoft Word for typing out subscripts, but uh, IFoA has recommended a particular one. Okay, so let's talk about both the things. How do you by default do subscripts in Microsoft Word, and what is IFoA's recommendation? Okay, so let's say I want to write xij, right, which is x with a subscript of ij. Okay, so how do you do it? As per IFoA, you can just write xij, or you can write x underscore ij. Okay, so this is what IFoA is recommending. This is very, very simple. But in Microsoft Word itself, you can do these two things, the exponential and the subscript, by using shortcuts which are built in. Okay, so let's talk about what those shortcuts are. So if you wanted to do a to the power of x, you could just do a to the power of. To the power of is uh, control and the plus symbol. Okay, control plus leads to a superscript. Okay, so let's say I do ax and then I want to put this in a superscript. I can do control plus equal to, right, that puts a superscript. And if you or the plus symbol, plus and equal to are on the same key, so you can press either. It's just the same key. Okay, and then if you want to exit it, you press that again, so it goes back to the normal text. Okay, so how did I do this? I just said, let's say I want to write b to the power of a, so I can write b, and then I can enter the superscript mode by pressing control plus equal to, and then I can type out a, and then to exit it, I do control plus equal to again. Okay, so that is my way to write superscript. And now if I want to write subscript, then it is, let's say I want to write xij, then it's control plus minus, it goes to subscript, so it's x. Now I can type ij, and in order to exit it again, I can do control plus minus. Okay, so that is how you write your superscript and subscript, right? IFoA's recommendation is simple. You can just do this. Okay, you can use either. This is just faster to type out. This is just cleaner. Okay, so that is the idea. Now, exponential of x is also very, very similar. Either you can write exp of x or e to the power of x, right? Again, the notation is just similar. Now, if you want to write accented symbols, that is b hat, x bar, t tilde, something like that. So you just write it this way: b to the power of, because a hat usually is made above b. So b, I use to the power of symbol, and then I write hat. Okay, or I can write x to the power of bar, or you can write t to the power of tilde. Okay, this represents these symbols itself: b hat, x bar, so on and so forth, right? X here is capital. Okay, because here also it's capital. Okay, so that's how you type out your accents. Okay, next is how do you do your Greek symbols? So for Greek symbols, IFoA suggests multiple ways. Um, the first thing you can do is you can just type them out in terms of words. So you can just say alpha, beta, gamma, mu, omega, right? You can just do it this way, or you can just use uh, letters. You, instead of using these Greek alphabets, you can just use Roman letters, which is you use A for alpha, B for beta, D for delta, G for gamma. You can also use these. Okay, D for capital delta. You can use these, and IFO is okay with that. So instead of just like typing out so much, you can just continue to use the normal letters. Okay, then we next get to the infinity symbol. For that, you either type out INF or you type out infinity. Okay, full. Then you have your derivative. Okay, you have your first derivative, second derivative, and you have your partial derivative. How do you do those? So first derivative, second derivative, you can easily type using f prime of x. So prime, you can just use the single quote f prime of x, or f double prime of x for the second derivative, or you can just use double quotes here. So f double prime of x. Okay, or you can use df by ds when I'm differentiating f by s. If it is partial, so you can say that this is, in the bracket you can say this is partial derivative. Okay, if it's necessary. Usually it's not necessary. Usually you can just write df by ds. They're usually okay with it. Okay, and or you can do for the second derivative, you can do d2s d2f by ds squared. Okay, this is how you can write the second derivative of f with respect to s. Okay, so this is how you type out the second derivative. Now if you look at this, see, this looks so complex, and as we go further through the symbols, they will start looking more and more complex. Obviously you can get used to them, that is not a problem, anyone can get used to them, but by design I would say that xij looks better than this xij, right? Or putting a proper hat or tilde would have been better than typing them out. So this is faster and like more efficient, but when we type out properly, that's more uh, good to look at, aesthetically pleasing, easy to read, right? So that is where the difference is. Now let's get to integrals. How do you do integrals? So integrals, they have suggested a couple of ways. These are integrals with limits. So if you have an integral limit going from a to b, so you first type the limits and then you say whatever you're taking the integral of. Here they're taking the integral of a derivative. Okay, so how do you do this? You just say this. Okay, you say int from a to b of what? Of f prime of t with respect to t, which is dt. Okay, or you can type it out, integral over a to b of f prime of t. This is also another way. Or you can type it out like this. You can say int a comma b f prime of t, and then this is in squared brackets. Okay, so if you are typing this out after a colon, then you can just type it out directly and write dt, or you can just type it in square brackets. That's what they're recommending. Anything which is approximately close to it is also fine, as long as it's not getting confused with another symbol. Next is your case where you have solved the integral, okay, and you want to put values, which is this. You the result will be ft, and then you would want to put the values b and a. So you just say ft, right? And what are the values I'm going to put? A comma b. So this is how you type it out. Okay, so that's your integral. Then next is your summation. Summation again is very similar to integral. There is no difference between summation and integral in terms of its notation. So if you want to sum from a to b mu t, you just say sum sigma a comma b mu t, or you write sum a comma b mu t. right? These two are equivalent. And then if you are not using colon, then you need to use square brackets around mu t and write a and b in normal brackets, parenthesis, right? Or you write it out completely, sum over a to b mu t. Okay, all of these are fine. I would prefer the shorter it is, that's better. And if you are following one, just consistently follow that. Okay. Next, you have your product. So product from a to b fx. So again, very similar to this, product a comma b fx. Okay, or you type it out, product over a to b fx. Okay, sum, integral, product, all of them are the same. Next, you have your expectation. So you can write expectation E bracket, whatever you're taking the expectation of. Conditional expectation of is x given y, or you can also type it out on your keyboard. So it's expectation of x. Given symbol you can put by pressing the backward slash symbol, which is under your delete key, along with shift. Okay, x given y. You can also type it out like this. Okay, instead of writing this x given y. Then you have your variance. So either you can write var of x, or you can write v of x. Similarly, covariance, you can write cov of whatever you're taking. Okay, chi square m. So this is chi squared underscore m, right? Whatever you want to put in a subscript. See, as a rule of thumb, how they do it is, whatever you want to put in a superscript, you put with the to the power of symbol. Whatever you want to put in a subscript, you put with the underscore symbol, right? So that is how they do it. Okay. So if I want to write chi squared m, so I'm writing chi squared and then putting m in the subscript. Okay. Then you have your coefficient of NCR. This is your NCR. So you can, this is NCR. You can write NCR. Okay. And here you can write n choose r or choose n comma r. Okay. That is what they prefer. You can also write NCR. That will also be fine. That's not a problem. Okay. But this is what they are recommending. Now, next you have IP, DP, delta. These are relevant for your CM1 exam. Okay. So for CM1 exam, these are relevant. So you can just write IP, DP, delta like this. This is not complicated at all. Okay. Now finally, these symbols you don't need to look at. If you're not writing CM1, you're just writing CS1. These are not relevant. But for CM1 students, these are your annuity and assurance functions. Okay. First they've shown is adu x uh, x given y. This is your reversionary annuity. Okay, this is your reversionary annuity, which is payable on the death of x till the death of y, right? So you write it like this: a due colon x given y. Okay. Similarly, you have your m deferred annuity, so you use the m deferred symbol before it. That's also fine. See, they're differentiating the symbol with the status with a colon. So they're always putting this colon. You should always put that. Okay. Then you have your endowment assurance. That's why they've written EA, not just A, EA. Then they've written a colon to separate the status, and then X, then colon, N. One thing to note is that the time status, which is in a sort of bracket like this, they put it in these triangular brackets, right? So they say A. If I want to write this symbol, then this is endowment assurance. Okay, because it is immediately payable on death, you have a bar. Okay, so you write a bar, then colon. You should switch off the auto capitalization, autocorrect of your keyboard when you're doing mathematical typing. Okay, that is one recommendation I would make. So what you can do is you can go to the preferences of Microsoft Word and switch off this spelling and grammar check. Check spellings as you type. You can just disable this. Okay, this is EA bar colon X colon N. You will have to find that setting in Windows, otherwise it will just keep changing what you're typing. Okay. Then you have your term assurance, because this is X1N, so they write TA. This is your pure endowment, so they write PE, right? So whatever is the kind of contract, you use those initials. Okay. Here it's a select status, so they are using this bracket around X. Okay, so it is A X, right? Instead of A, they're using PE because they know it's pure endowment. Then you are putting a colon to differentiate these. Then you have your N, right? So this is pure endowment uh, of select age with a term of n years. Okay, and then if it's an increasing term assurance, they write ITAXN. Okay, so because it's increasing and term, so they've put an I here, right? If it was an increasing endowment assurance, I would have written, or an increasing whole life assurance, then I just would have written IA. Okay, IA just shows whole life assurance. IAX is just whole life assurance. Okay, and you can obviously put a colon here, IA colon X. Okay, if it was a whole life assurance of X years, I would put AX. Okay, they've not shown whole life here, but that's pretty obvious. Okay, and then for other contracts, you have to write EATAP, whatever it is, right? So that's how it works. This is your way to type out exams using the IFoA recommended notation. Let's move on to the next thing now, which is your equation editor. Okay, now let's just get into how to type out these exams on Microsoft Word using the equation editor. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about next. That's the alternative method. And of course, eventually, you would most likely be using a combination of the two. Okay, so uh, firstly, let's just start with how to enable the equation editor in order to start inserting equations. So there is a shortcut for that, that is Alt plus equal to, right? I'm using a Mac, so the shortcut changes. That's Control plus equal to here, but for most of you Windows users, it will be Alt plus equal to. Uh, so let's just start working this out, and let me make a working area here. I'll do it section by section. Okay, and within this equation editor, you can actually insert any sort of equation or symbol by using the syntax that I will introduce in this section. Okay, so let's start with the simplest sort of syntax that we need to work with, which is your Greek symbols. So if you want to write alpha, beta, gamma, delta, lambda, mu, sigma, pi, theta, phi, omega, etc., you can just use these sort of symbols, right? So let me show you how to write alpha. So you just make this backslash, which is, you see that it's leaning backward, and it's just the key below your delete button, right? And then you try typing alpha. Okay, this is in bold, so I will remove the bold from it. Okay, yeah, you try typing alpha, and then you uh, press space bar after it, right? As soon as you press space bar, it will convert into the Greek letter alpha. Similarly, you can type beta, you can type gamma, you can type delta, you can type lambda, you can type, you just need to know their spellings correctly and they'll come. Omega, you can type phi, right? You can also get capital Greek letters. For that, you need to capitalize the first letter. So if you want to do that, you can write alpha with a capital, and that becomes, the alpha letter is very very similar to an A, where you will be able to notice a difference is delta. So the capital delta is just a triangle, so that's your delta, right? Capital omega, so you see the difference, right? In terms of the omega we had earlier and that we have now, uh, you see capital phi, right? So you can type out all of these letters using this equation editor. Now whenever you're typing equations, one, they appear at the center, so you would want them to be on the left side of your screen. For that, what you can do is a control L. As soon as you do a control L, they get left aligned. So your equations will now be left aligned. It will be on the left side of the screen. Okay, so always open the equation editor, move it to the left, and then start typing. Okay, that's the first thing. That's how you type out your Greek letters. Now let's move on to the next thing, which is how do you do your operators and symbols. Okay. Uh, Now, one thing is that every time you want to do this, you will have to open the equation editor. There is an easier way to do it without opening the equation editor, which is you change the settings of your Microsoft Word uh, to allow for these math auto corrections even outside the math regions. Okay, so the way to do this on a Mac is that you go to your preferences. In Windows, you will have to go to the settings of your Word, MS Word, and then uh, you just go to autocorrect and you select math autocorrect, right? And you click on this. You check this box, use math autocorrect outside of math regions. You will find this in Microsoft Word for Windows as well, right? So if you prefer to do this, then you can actually type a lot of these equations even outside of equation editor, even without inserting the equation editor. You can do this in the beginning of your IFoA exam, so that you get some reading time and all of that, or a setup time with your computer. uh, this is even before your exam starts, so during the setup time you can just set it up. Okay. uh, in IAI, also I think you should be able to do it. Just see if like this option is available, otherwise just use the equation editor directly. Okay, so once this is enabled, what happens is these symbols can be typed out even outside this box. Not all of your shortcuts will work, but most of them will work. So I can now type out alpha here, and it should work. Alpha, see, and then oh, this became capital. If for some reason it's not working, alpha, yeah, then beta, then capital omega. So all of them work even outside the equation editor region, right? So you can do this as well. Okay, this was the second tip. And obviously you try to move them to left doing a control L, right? So that is the second thing. Now, next thing I want to talk about are the operator symbols. Operators or symbols like not equal to, less than equal to, greater than equal to, times, and so on and so forth. So to do this, for not equal to, the uh, shortcut or the syntax is any q, right? It becomes not equal to. Then for less than equal to, it's leq. Then for greater than equal to, it's geq. Okay. Then for your times, which is just your multiplication symbol, you get this. You can also use the star, which is fine, which works. Okay. Then you have your PM. What is PM? Let's see. This is plus minus. Okay. Then you have your infinity, which is INFTY. Okay. Next, then you have your approx, which is approximately equal to, right? Then you have your equivalent, which is equivalent equiv. Okay, the A is equivalent to B, something like that, right? Then you have your for all. Okay, you have your exists. So all of these symbols can be typed out. Okay, so that's the first thing, Greek letters and symbols. Next thing is, how do you do superscripts? Let's say I want to write x square plus 3x cube plus 9y square, something like that. Okay, so what you do is you do x to the power of 2. Okay, when x becomes capital, it won't work. Okay, small x, it would work. uh, Okay, it's not working outside the equation editor. So for this, you will have to definitely open the equation editor. Some symbols work, others don't. Okay, the ones with the backslash usually work. Okay, so now within the equation editor, you do x to the power of 2 x square, okay, plus 3x cube x to the power of 3. Okay, you always press space, then it takes effect, plus 4y square, something like that, right? So you are able to write all of your equations, and to align it leftward, you do a command L. Okay, this is your superscripts or to the power. Okay, similarly, you can do subscripts. Okay, so alt equal to, and then if you want to do x1, that's x underscore 1. See, this was the same symbols we were using in IFoA's recommendation as well. To the power was this, subscript was this, but here it looks cleaner, right? Let's say you want to write x square subscript 1, so you can do this as well, x21, x1 square, right? That is what it becomes, x subscript 3 to the power of 2, so x3 square. This is how you type it out. Okay, so this is how you do this. And then let's say you want to put like multiple things into the power or the subscript. Let's say you want to say x 1 comma 2, so x bracket 1 comma 2, so this becomes x1 comma 2, right? Since both the things were after the underscore and in a bracket, they both went into the subscript. Okay, similarly, if you want to do x t to the power of x square plus 3x plus 1. Okay, so you do this and it goes to the power, right? So that's how it works. Okay, now let's move on. The next thing is uh, your fraction function. Okay, fractions, how do? You do a by b. Okay, a by b. It's not becoming like this, so we have to go to the math mode, the equation mode, and do an a by b. Okay, it becomes an a by b. And if you want to write longer equations, let's say you want to write x square plus 2x plus 1 divided by y square plus 3x plus 4. Okay, so you do it like this, it becomes a fraction of these things, right? This is for your fractions. Then you have your square roots and cube roots and quadratic roots. So for square roots, you do sqrt and you say x. So this is the square root of x, right? But of course, in the beginning of square root, you will have to write this backslash, right? So I need to write sqrt x. Okay, this is square root of x. Then if you want to write the cube root of cbrt, cube root of x square plus 3x plus 2. Okay, so you do it like this. This is the cube root of the whole expression. Whatever I put inside the bracket will just go in there. Then you want to write the quadratic root, so that is qdrt. This is the fourth root of g square plus 2. Okay, this is how you can write it. Okay, this is fine. Then see, this is second, third, fourth root is all coming. If you want to write the nth root, okay, then how you do it is you say sqrt, but you specify which root. So if I want to specify the nth root, let's say I want to write the 10th root, okay, of x square plus 2. Okay, so this is the 10th root, right? So this is how I can write any root. Okay, so that's your roots. Then next thing is your summation and limits and products and all of that. Again, we discussed this under the IFoA recommendation. Now let's just discuss it outside. So again, what you do is you start with control equal to, right? You make it left aligned, right? And now I want to write sum. Let's say I want to say sum of uh,
some expression. Okay, x square plus 3x plus 2, where x goes from 5 to 7. Okay, so how you do it is, whatever you want to put in the lower limit, you put that after underscore. Whatever you want to put in the upper limit, you put that after to the power sign. Okay, so I want to go from 5 to 7. Okay, and now I type out my expression: x square plus 3x plus 4. Okay, so this is how you write your summation. Okay, somehow move to the lower thing, which I did not want to. X square plus 3x plus 7. You press space or space after it, and then you start your next thing. Okay, let's maybe. Okay, if you press enter after this, it seems to go to the denominator. Okay, so this you don't press enter here. That is the thing. If you press enter after it, it goes to the second expression. And the way to remove it is you just do a control Z. Okay. Okay, now let's move on next. Let's do the next thing, which is the product. Okay, so first I'll exit the equation editor using a control equal to. Okay, so this expression is written. I want to write the next expression, which is, let's write control equal to and do a command L. Okay, now I want to say let's do a product. So prod. Now let's say the limits are from I goes from 1 to n. Now whenever I goes from something to something, you have this entire expression I is equal to 1, right? So this expression entirely, if you want to write, you need to put it inside braces. So the lower limit is I goes from 1 to n. Okay, so I is going from 1 to n. Let's type it out again. Braces I goes from 1 to n. Okay, and then you can type out your expression, which is I square plus 2i plus 9. Okay, maybe this. Okay, then you exit your equation editor. Let me show you integral. So it is control equal to int, integrating from a, or you don't even need this, a to b. Okay, a to b, and now you just put here. In fact, you could have just written this as I is equal to 1. You don't need the brackets again. You don't need those braces. That's fine. Okay, a to b, let's say I want to integrate x square plus 2x plus 9 dx. Okay, so this is how you write your integral, definite integral. Okay, indefinite integral, if you want to write, then you do backslash int, and then you just type your expression x square plus 2x plus 9. Okay, not equation editor, let's convert it, control equal to. Okay, and we want this entire expression to be inside the integral, x square plus 2x plus 9. Okay, and you do a command L. Right, so this is how you write all of these. And then if you want to write limits, okay, limit uh, goes from n to infinity, n goes to infinity. Okay, or 0. Limit n goes to infty, right? and then you can put whatever expression you have, n square plus 2n plus 1. Okay, so this is your limit. Next I want to go to combinatorics, which is your combination function. Okay, you can either directly write it as NCR, or the alternative formula is, let's do a control equal to, or an alt equal to in your case, and then it's NCR. So for NCK, to write it like this, what you do is you write the function a top, okay, and then you write k, okay, so it becomes NCK. Okay, so either you write it this way, which is your n a top k, or you write NCR. Both of them are fine. Okay, next is your matrix. Okay, matrix is when you want to change the row, you put an @ sign, and within the same row you keep on putting the and sign. Okay, and the function that you use is p matrix. Let's do this. So how do you do it? So firstly, let's do alt equal to, control L, and then we start writing p matrix, and then within this you write all of your terms. So maybe I want to create a 3x3 matrix, so 1 and 4 and 5 at the second row, 3 and 2.5 and 7.09. okay, at, this is the third row, 1 and 4 and 6. okay, and then you close the bracket and you press the space bar. Okay, so your matrix is ready. Okay, so to change row you press @ and it symbolizes with @ and to be in the same row you keep on going with ands. Okay, so that is your idea of this. Now next is accents. How do you do accents, which is hat, tilde, and all of this? This I can show you even without the equation editor. So let's try that first. Or x hat. Let's do this. Yeah, x tilde. The reason it's happening without the equation editor is because I had enabled this setting, use math autocorrect rules outside math regions. Okay, then you have your let's say you want to write c bar, so c bar. Okay, then you want to write x dot, so x dot. Okay, so that's how you write all of this. Okay, so yeah, that is the idea of how do you use equation editor. One neat trick that you can use, because it's very lengthy to type out these alpha, beta, gamma, and all of that, what you can do is you can assign shortcut keys to this, right, to each one of these. So that'll be faster, right? So how do you assign shortcut keys? And you can use the time before the exam starts to set this up, right? In case of IFoA. So how do you do that? So for doing that, what you do is you go to insert, you go to advanced symbols, right, and then you have all of these symbols here, right? So you have to find the symbol and assign a shortcut key to it, right? Let's say I wanna assign a shortcut key to a particular symbol. Okay, so you have all of your Greek letters here. Alpha, let's say I want to make alpha as, you can maybe make it alt plus a, right? In my case I don't have an alt key on Mac, so I will make it maybe option plus a. Okay, that won't work. Maybe command control shift a. Okay, let me go with that. Okay, so I assign and control shift a gives me alpha. In your case you can do it as alt plus a, because in Windows alt is such a convenient key and no other shortcut is assigned to it. Control plus a, don't do it, because control plus a is already select all, so it won't work, right? Something that's a default existing shortcut, you should not mess with that. Okay, So that's the idea. And similarly, I can do beta. I can assign command shift B. Okay. In my case, in your case, just alt plus B. Chi-square, maybe I can assign uh, control shift C. Okay. This I can remove. This one I had assigned. This should be control shift B. Okay. So now once you assign these, and you can assign them to whatever letters you use a lot, or whatever symbols you use a lot, you just close this, and now whenever I press control shift A, I will get an alpha. Whenever I press control shift A, I'll get an alpha. Whenever I press control shift B, I'll get a beta. Whenever I press control shift C, I'll get a chi, so on and so forth, right? In your case, just make it very simple. Alt A, Alt B, Alt C, assign accordingly, right? So this would just really make life easy for you. Yeah, so that is some advice there, and yeah, this is how you type out things on Microsoft Word. Now, here's a summary. You can refer to it for how to do things. The rules are fairly intuitive, and you'll get used to them. Okay. Now, next thing I want to talk about are some sort of rules and tips for the exam. Some tips I had already given you. I'll just give you some more. So, firstly, using MS Excel as a calculator is allowed in all exams of IFoA at least, including CS1, CS2, CB1, CB2. All exams you can use Excel as a calculator. IAI doesn't allow in CB1, CB2, and but in CM1, CS1, CS2, CM2, I think you can use. Just check again in the IAI rules once, because their rules keep on changing. But you can use Excel as a calculator there, right? In IFoA, you can definitely use, right? One thing to remember is that your new answer should start from a separate page. So the page break shortcut is control enter. Okay, this is called as page break. So if you want to go to the next page from here, you just do a control enter. In my case, I do a command enter. You do a control enter. Okay, you go to a new page, and you should start a new question from a new page, not a new sub question, but a new question. Okay, so even if your previous page is just half used, leave it, start a new question from a new page. Okay, that is an IFoA rule. Okay, that's important to remember. Then all subparts of one question should be in the same place and in the logical order. Okay, so for the subparts, part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they should be in the right order, and they should be in the same place. Question number, you can change the order. Question 2 can be after question 5. Question 9 can be after question 3. But the subparts of those questions should all be in the same place and in the logical order. Okay, questions can be in any order. The answer and the subpart should be numbered correctly. Okay, if you're numbering your answer or the subpart incorrectly, there is a huge chance you'll get a 0 in that. Okay, don't do that. Your numbering should be proper. Leave the last 5 minutes of the paper for this 5-10 minutes, whatever. Ensure that your numbering is correct. At least get marks in what you've done correctly. Don't try to don't lose out on the portions which you've already done correctly and try to rush your paper towards the end. Okay, don't do that. You won't be able to write as much in the last 5 minutes as you would be able to check that you've done everything structured in a structured way, and your question numbers are correct and all of that. Okay, so that is very important. Then use IFoA's examiner report to understand the required level of detail or steps, right? Like how detailed your answer should be, you should refer to the IFoA examiner report. Okay. The final advice is don't type every step. You can just copy one step and then edit it to make the next step, because every next step follows from the previous step in mathematics. So just copy your step downward and just edit it. Okay, control C, control V, and then you edit it. Okay, this I'll show when I make the next few lectures, which would be solving CS1 and CM1 papers on MS Word. So refer to those lectures, but here I've told you end to end how to type out your paper. Please practice this, don't mess this up. This is the easiest part.
But if you ignore this, it really becomes a challenge to pass the exam. Okay, thank you.